as we go through this presentation, I want to make sure that you guys understand exactly what Steve was just saying. We're partners with you, and that's why the logo from Holmes Murphy and Wolf is there at the bottom, because we are partners with you guys. We want to make sure that our partnership is solid and that we are good patrons to our captive that we're a member of. So this is something that every person in the United States has access to. This is the Safer Report. So any of the people that you do business with can go in, type in your carrier number, your DOT number there, that 22334, and they can actually pull up this page. Once they pull up this page, they can see where you guys rank. They can see where you rank as far as out of service, that OOS there. The national average is 21. You guys are at what, 29? You can see that you guys are just a little bit under the average there for drivers, and then you're over the average on hazmat. So these are things that Steve was just talking about. These are things that we can control. So if you look at the 6 buttons that are there at the bottom, or excuse me, 7 buttons, we're going to go to the unsafe one. So if I were to click on that unsafe one, this is what I would see, and it talks about how it's weighted over time. And these are, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. So it's weighted off of the severity. So this is one of the violations that you had is speeding. Can you guys control the speed in your trucks? Absolutely. Once you are caught speeding and they pull you over, guess what happens? That's when they start looking at your truck, right? If you didn't get caught speeding, they wouldn't be looking at your truck. So speeding, you can see that this first one has a severity rate of 4. The next one, 11 to 14 miles an hour, has a severity rating of 7. And then failure to follow a traffic control. It could have been like a stop sign, could have been a stoplight. Not exactly sure. Don't want to know. I'm just showing you the facts, guys, so that you understand how important it is. So right there, you've got a 4, a 7, and a 5, just right out of the bat.
What's the max severity though?
10.
10.
So go down and I start looking at the 4 claims that we just talked about there. And you can see the license plate numbers there. That's the only identifier on it. So I wouldn't know, the companies wouldn't know who was driving that truck that day. Now, there's another system that tracks you guys that follows you the rest of your life, of course, with your MVR program too. So you're going to have those types of things follow you for a long time. Now, the one thing I want to talk about when it comes to speeding tickets is, and I don't care, but in a lot of states, what they do is they pull you over, going to give you a speeding ticket, and what they do is then they do the inspection on the truck, and then they come back to the driver and say, well, we've got all these other infractions against you guys. We're going to give you a warning on that speeding ticket. And so if you get a warning, it still shows up on here. It still shows up on our score. The only thing is you don't have to pay a fine, and it goes against your MVR. That's why we want to make sure that you don't speed. That's probably the biggest contributor here. And we're going to talk about some other contributing factors to why your score is what it is as we go through this. Sure.
So when I looked at this yesterday,
Yep.
the most current thing you have on there is a year old.
Well, right up until somebody had one on the 19th of...
Yeah, we just had one.
So there's been nothing since
Yep.
till then?
Yep.
That can be the good and the bad of it, right? I get no bad ones added, but I also get no good ones added.
Right. So it doesn't take out a pool?
Right.
Right. Okay. So this is that first truck the first ticket that we had. You can see the truck number, and this is what the violation was. The person was going 6 to 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. The reflective tape that goes down the side, that's the second one. And then it looks like they found oily hubs. Is that something that we can control? Probably. I mean, that's why we have Chris and Dave. I mean, if you see a leaking hub, we want to make sure that we get it fixed or repaired. And how do they know that? Because they can see the oil and then it gets dirt on it. Next one. Another one, you know, getting pulled over for speeding, and now they start looking at your logbook. Here's the next one. This guy got pulled over for speeding, but didn't have anything else wrong with his truck, so he must have done a pretty good pre-inspection, or he was nice to the policeman, or he felt bad for him. So we go to this one, under crashes. This is a weighted average of all your points. This one is for driving beyond the 8-hour rule or 11-hour rule. I think that probably in this particular instance, the driver probably didn't take his 30-minute break sometime during the day or didn't log it, and that's why you guys got the ticket there. That would be my guess. Again, look at the severity. It's a 7. Here's another one for speeding. And again, we're talking about the logbook. They wouldn't have been looking at the logbook if it hadn't been speeding. It's carrier average for maintenance. You know, the second one, windshield wipers not working. You guys all look at your windshield wipers, right? Make sure that they're working. You know, even if you're out of windshield wiper fluid on your truck, it's a violation, right? Everybody knows that. If your squirter doesn't work, that's something that they're going to write you a ticket on. Required light there at the bottom, or the inoperable required lamp. I've seen guys get tickets for not having the lamp inside the cab work. The dome light. The book says that every lamp on that truck has to be operational. In that particular instance, that one doesn't work. Leak from air chamber. You guys, when you're doing your pre-trips, are you listening for that air? When you go into the terminal, are you walking around your trucks and seeing if you hear anything noise? Seeing if your lights are working? I mean, I've sat in terminals for 40 minutes. I've sat in terminals for even longer than that. And I'm sure that you guys all have too. I mean, it's 20 minutes for a full-size tanker to fill, because I've timed them. And that's a guy that's hustling. You know, you have plenty of time to listen for air leaks. I think that's probably an unexcusable one, along with the lamp. You know, you're going to have the pressure problem with the braking system. You're going to notice that in the pedal. You know, and in this particular case, the loss of pressure has allowed them to take you out of service. So you can see that they took you out of service on that one, and then the grease was leaking on the hubs there on that inner hub, and they took you out of service for that one. And then that one up at the top, and I don't know exactly why they would take you out of service for the reflective tape, but obviously they did. So, you know, you got 3 out of services there. I'm sorry, 2 out of services. Yep. I'm not going to touch that thing again. Okay, whoops. This one was kind of interesting. The reason I highlighted that trailer number and tractor number is I want to show you something. This trailer is one that had the windshield wiper violation. This guy got pulled over for speeding in the hubs. You guys recognize those numbers? 269, 269. So this is the same truck. Looks like this guy didn't have his medical card up to date, and he's the one that had the air pressure problems. So again, I'm showing you these so that you guys can kind of see what you've been dinged for in the past. because that's what you're going to get looked at when they in the future. And I'll share that here in just a few minutes. This guy was overweight. Inoperable lamp. So, you know, these are just the things that we were talking about just a few minutes ago. This is the latest one. This one happened on July the 19th. We're going to look at hoses when we go outside and talk about that a little bit. Inoperative right turn signal, inoperative brake lamp. So again, some of you guys know that there's a way to make all the flashers work on your trailer at one time in your tractor. Anybody know that?
I mean, all the models though.
Not all of them, but some of them. Yep. Okay. We got to make sure that we're making sure that our lamps are working. I mean, if a highway patrolman's driving down the highway and sees a lamp out, chances are he's going to pull you over. If he sees the ABS light on that side, chances are he's going to pull you over. You know, those are kinds of things that we can control, and that's what we're wanting to do, is control. So, you know, and this was an older trailer, it looks like to me, you know, being an 07. I've only been to one of our clients that had a problem with this, where the guy had actually been drinking and driving while he was driving a tractor. So that's always a good thing to see, zeros. I show you guys this one only because I think it's interesting. This is the dates, the months that you guys get all your inspections. Yeah, June, you guys have put your dog sleds away, and you know, they're going to get out there and be out looking at trailers and tractors. July, August seems to be a pretty heavy month. September, and then, you know, they crawl back in their hole from October to April. So, you know, again, they're going to be out more in the summertime looking at you guys than they are in the wintertime. I just thought that was interesting. This is the one where you guys had a little bit of fuel, residual fuel in one of the trays where the hoses were stored. So we want to make sure that we don't have any residual fuel in the trays, because that's what you got in trouble for there.
There's a weighting on that too.
What's that?
The weighting on that?
Yep. Yeah. There you go, Ethan. That's the highest you can get right there. And then improper shipping papers. You know, I don't necessarily blame the driver for that, but I do blame the driver for the shipping papers not being accessible. I mean, we all know that you're supposed to keep it within a hand's reach. Looks like that one must have been on the floor, out of his reach, maybe not in the door. I don't know what the improper shipping papers was, if it was something that was the office problem or if it was something that the driver did. I don't know that, but
It's part of the process, though.
yeah.
Right, it's still counting on my driving, it's part of the checks and balances, right? It may not be the sole factor, but it's part of the process.
Again, in chopper shipping papers. And that's a release there. Fitness for duty. You guys all know that you're supposed to have a health card, supposed to be turned in. In this particular instance, this is a health card violation. You can see the severity on it. Again, that's bad, getting an 8. This has to do with that same one with the fitness for duty. He didn't have the health card, and then the driver starts, or the guy starts walking around, the inspector, and listens for brake pressure. Next thing you know, we're in trouble.
With that health card, you gotta have it on you, or can you have a picture it on your phone?
You know, I've had people ask me that question before, and it kind of depends on the officer. I don't think that it's set in gold, but I think that probably having a picture of it on your phone is going to be enough for them. But again, you know, it says card, and so they could say, well, I want to see your card. But, it kind of depends on the officer. A lot of these guys, I know that they have a bad reputation, but there's quite a few of them that I've met that they're nice guys. I mean, they just have a job to do just like you do. Now, if you guys were in Georgia, I would tell you just the opposite. They hired 19 guys in one class to go out in Georgia, and those 19 guys have taken upon themselves to go after everybody they can and see who can get the most tickets in a year. So guess what? I mean, they're just murdering our tractor trailer operators there. So I'm not going to reiterate everything that Steve talked about, but so much of this stuff, guys, we can control. If you're controlling your speed, number one, you're not going to get pulled over. Number two, we do need to do a good job on our daily inspections, especially in the summer months when they're out there and active. We know that they're going to be pulling people over, that 4 or 5 months during the summer. If we can do good pre-trips during that time, get the trucks into the shop if it has a problem, get it repaired and get it taken care of, the better off we're going to be when it comes to these safer scores. And the safer scores are really important in a lot of ways because our competitors can look at it as well as our new vendors that we want to haul for. So, if we have a bad score, a lot of people don't want to deal with this. So, with that being said, this is something that the insurance company has access to, and it's more of a report for insurance companies to look at more of a 5-year average. The last one we looked at was just 2 years or 24 months. And it's a rolling 24 months. So you guys had one on June 30th of 2020, July 30th of 2020. It goes off at the end of the month. Well, it actually goes off tomorrow. And so one of those drops off, but unfortunately we just had one added over the course of the last week. So the cab report is kind of the report that comes up in the highway patrol when you go, do you guys have free pass up here? What they call free pass, where you go underneath a little reader up on right before you get to a scale?
There's some scales.
Okay. They're all over Missouri and all over the Midwest. But basically what that does is it has a reader, reads your truck, and it comes up and it tells that highway patrolman red, yellow, or green. If you're a red, you automatically get pulled into the scale. If you're a yellow, sometimes they pull you in, sometimes they don't. It's at their discretion. And then if you're a green, then they send you on by. But remember, when that comes up, it's going to have all the violations that your company's had over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. So if let's say that you've had a lot of marker lights out, well, what's that indicate to them? That we want to pull you around back and they're going to have you turn on every light on your tractor. Could be that they're going to pull you around back and look at your windshield wipers because you guys have had a violation there. They're going to look at those that are tins and see if they can't find it again, because that's easy picking for them. And if you guys have done a good job with your pre-trip, we're going to not have those particular violations. So this is an example of what a red one looks like. This is a company that I had to go down to in Texas, and you can see their score is a 94, right? You guys see that 94 underneath the red light there? What do you think that means? And this is a big trucking operation, at least 70 trucks. Every single time those guys go by a policeman pulls them over. Every single time. And they're like, man, they're just picking on us. I said, well, it's because your score's so high. And they continue to have violations. They're just not doing a good job of pre-trip. Now, obviously, they have older units. You guys have got all nice, clean, new ones compared to what they have. But in this particular instance, that's what's going on with them, is they just have gotten a bad reputation and they're having a hard time digging their way out. If you see over here at the left-hand side, it says 9/24/21. And you guys can see that your score was 42 and you're in the green, so that's good. The underwriters and the people that are with your insurance company are looking at that and saying, that's good. You're still above the national average, but you're better than what a lot of people are. This is what your score was as of the June the 24th, when I put the presentation together for you guys. So you can see that you guys have dropped 2, which is great. That's the direction we want to go. These are the violations that you guys had last year. You were 9% over the national ratio on I don't know what that, oh, I guess that's overall. Vehicles, 10% over. Hazmat, 14% over. These are the kinds of things that people look at. This is what it was the other day when I pulled it. So you had 1 driver fitness, 8 hazard, 1 hour, 4 non-basic violations, 4 unsafe driving, and then the 6 maintenance violations. Overall, you're still 6% above the national average. Vehicles 7, hazmat 8.8. So, there's room for improvement, that's for sure. Of course, this is all in the last 36 months on this particular calculation. This is your total number of inspections. So what that means is there's 20 times, total 20 inspections. At 20 times they looked at the driver, 17 inspections just of the vehicle, and then the 15 for hazmat. So, the out of service is probably the thing that would be the thing to look at probably the most there. The good thing is you guys haven't had any crashes. Knock on wood. Again, these are just things that I pulled up so you guys could kind of see what the insurance companies are looking at, so that they, and again, not, when it comes to the vehicle, that's the thing that I'm really wanting to stress here today. I mean, not that you guys are real bad there, but when you get taken out of service, what's that do to your route for the day? What's that do for the company? All right, I'll tell this story real quick. We had a driver that just left their yard. He was driving a Volvo, and as he powered up the ramp to get onto the highway, he could still see the yard where he came from. As he powered up the ramp, he lost power. He coasted over to the side of the road. He had 1 foot of the trailer still over the line. 1 foot. This gentleman, oh, by the way, this is wrong. If you guys ever see it, that's wrong. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, so this guy, our driver, our insured, left it over the foot, about 1 foot over. Okay? He gets on his phone and he calls the office and says, hey, get a mechanic up here, my truck just lost power. As he's getting ready to get out of the tractor, a car coming up the ramp at 70 miles an hour hits the back of our trailer, throws a 5-year-old kid from the back seat through the windshield of the car. The lady didn't have insurance, didn't have a valid driver's license, and didn't have license plates on the car. They won over $5 million from us. Why did they win? They could have gotten a whole lot more. By the way, the little boy is injured for life, but he didn't die. Why was that our fault? I mean, we had our emergency blinkers on. We had everything that we should have been doing. We were getting ready to get out and put out our triangles. We didn't do that. Why'd we get in trouble? Because we didn't immediately get out and put our triangles out. We got on the phone and called the office. There's a loophole in the law for hazmat drivers that says that you have to immediately put your triangles out. If you're driving for Walmart, you have 10 minutes to put the damn triangles out. But in this particular instance, you guys have to put them out immediately. So, in this particular case, we lost over $5 million. Now, can anybody tell me what the distance is for that first triangle? 10 feet. Okay. What's the distance for the second one? 100 feet. What's the distance for the third one? Another 100 feet. Okay. Wow. You guys are the smartest class I've ever been to. Most of the time, people sit there and scratch their head and say, Chuck, I have no idea. That looks good to me. Is there anything else that you're supposed to do with those triangles?
I believe you're supposed to angle them.
Towards the curb, right? From the trailer back? Okay.
As a merge or a
Yeah, and it's exactly right. It's so that that driver is coming up behind you, it leads them away from the back of your truck, right? But you know, when I go down the highway, even a Love's truck that's out there servicing a truck, they put them 10 feet, 10 feet, and 10 feet and think that that's okay. I mean, I want you guys to always know that it's 10, 100, and 100. And I'm glad I didn't do what I usually do, and that is hold up a $5 bill and say, who can get it for answering the question? You guys are too smart, so I'm, phew, save my $5. Anybody know what that is? It's the bottom of a fire extinguisher that was on the truck. You think that that would work? Has anybody been looking at that? On your pre-trip inspections, does it call for you to look at your fire extinguisher?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Yes.
Okay.
At least the nozzle's not aiming out.
Yeah, well, that's good. But is there another violation there?
Someone took a picture while driving.
Well, hey, I was doing it very carefully.
All the residue.
No, well, that's bad too.
Power cords hanging on the catwalk.
I see cord chafing.
Yeah, I see cord chafing, right? Okay. So we've had this captive for the last almost 6 years now, and in that time period, we've had 5 rollover trucks, and not one of the trucks was the trailer injured to the point where it was ruptured. Not one of them. It's always the gas tank that's caused the problem. You know, and it's a lot of times it was just because somebody hadn't tightened that down. So on a pre-trip inspection, one of the things that I tell people is crank it down. I talk about this one for load securement. You know, bad things can happen. This happens a lot in the South. See how that 1209 or 1203 is faded? That's a violation. You gotta be red. It has to be red. If it's pink or starting to do that, ask Dave or Chris to put a new one on. I mean, it's easy enough to do. It can save you guys a ticket. How about the other one? Can you tape no. And the reason is you can't see all the 4 corners of it and see the white stripe. Okay? See any problems there? Yeah. One side is probably not going to get you in too much trouble. The one there on the left-hand side. But I walked around another truck and you can see this is where I put my finger and went like this and showed the driver how deep and dirty it was. Is that going to get you in trouble? Absolutely. I would never expect to see that on a wolf truck though, ever. How about that far picture on the right? You guys, that's not a shadow, that's where it's been leaking there too. Yep. Okay. In a lot of states, they look at valve stems like that. Is that something that you're supposed to look at on your pre-inspection? Yep. How about that tire on that? This tractor, I should have taken a picture of the whole front end of it because it was completely destroyed. It had been in a bad wreck, and they wondered, it was a rainy day, and wondered why they had problems stopping. You guys see any problem there? No. Bugs on the windshield. You know, you pull into a weight station and they see a windshield that looks like that, that's not had any windshield wiper across it. They're going to ask you, hey, would you turn your windshield wiper for me? And when it doesn't work, then they say, come on around the back. How about that brake light there? Anybody see the orange? Yeah? Is it? It's like the bat signal, right? Pull me over.
I'll just reset it.
What's that?
Just reset it real quick and good to go.
Okay. I've had people tell me to just take the light bulb out.
Well, that works too.
Yeah. Right up until you pull into the station and they look inside and they see that orange light on, and then they say, hey, let's go out and look at your tail light. And now you've defeated a safety device and the ticket's even bigger. Okay, so you guys got in trouble for the tape, right? So that tractor trailer or that tank wagon would have gotten in trouble for that. What do you think's wrong with that other picture on the right-hand side? Anybody have any ideas?
Can't have a red reflector stay that close to a white light.
You know, I never thought about that. Is that true?
Yeah, it has to be at least 3 inches away.
Huh. Okay.
Red one has to be, red and white have to be 3 inches away from yellow.
Plus you're covered.
Red one could be close to the red one.
Okay. Well, see the red one is not lit up. The lights on the tractor trailer are on, but they're not. That light isn't lit. Okay. I had a weight station operator pull a tractor trailer over a while back and make them wait for it to drip an hour, and then wrote him a ticket. This truck pulled in, and I was going to do a pre-trip inspection, and before I could get around the truck, it had already dropped that on the ground. This was at that place in Texas where I was talking about earlier. What color is this supposed to be?
Red.
Does it look red to you? The reason that I pull that out is that's a violation. Those have to be red, blue, and green. And that one is not red. And they get in trouble all the time down in the South because they're pink. They want those red. They have to be red. See how pink that one is there? Oh, I thought you guys wouldn't see that. Do you see the other one on the other side? This is not a how-to, guys. This is something to get you in trouble. But, all right, I'm 5 minutes over where I'm supposed to be, so let's go outside and look at a tractor trailer for a minute or two. Has anybody ever been pulled over and have them open the hood for you? Had to open the hood for the officer? If you ever get pulled over and they ask you to open the hood, they're not going to help you. And the reason that it is they've had officers that have been injured when this hood fell off on them. Oh, you know, the whole thing came off and hurt them, so they don't help you. So when I look underneath, the first thing I do is check the oil, obviously. You guys are required to do that. And then I start my pre-trip inspection by listening to the motor, but with the camera on, I'm going to go ahead and just talk through it a little bit. We'll start it here in a few minutes. But what I'm looking for when I look underneath here is I'm looking for anything that's shiny. I'm looking for anything that looks like it could be out of place. A lot of times I'm looking at the brake liner itself just to see that it looks like it's in place and that it's got a fair amount of brake pad still left on it. I look just throughout the engine. Sometimes I'll even pull on these to make sure that they're only 3/4 of an inch play. And you can feel the tensioner on there. So it's doing good. I'm looking for leaks anywhere. I'm looking to see that the cotter keys are in place there. On some of the older units, I've seen mechanics that have welded this right here, put a spot weld right there so it doesn't move. That's against the rules. They wouldn't do that. But I have seen. you know, I'm looking to see that everything looks like it's lubricated, everything looks good there. So as I walk around the truck, I'm looking to see if there's any kind of leak in around here. We're going to touch each one of these, make sure that they're okay. Look to be okay. I'm going to pull on the mirror. If this mirror's loose, it's a violation. I'm going to open the door. If this door's loose, and believe it or not, I've been in tractor trailers that this door would move up and down 3 inches. Is that a violation? Yeah. So we're come inside. Always want to make sure that this is secured down. You guys are fortunate that you have this type of a fire extinguisher holder, because a lot of times those other ones, when you get out, they'll clip and it's loose, and then you get in trouble. So that's a good one.
Chuck, can I ask a question actually for Dave here? How come we don't put lug indicators on here? Because they don't fit right.
Okay. We're going to look at the fire extinguisher, make sure that it's operable in the green. We just need to do that probably once a month. I mean, it's not something that you're going to look at every day, but it is something that I would suggest you look at least once a month. As we walk down the side.
We actually tell our guys to at least once a month sign off.
Okay. Is it? Well, it's on your pre-trip, right?
There's a yellow sticker on there that they're supposed to sign,
Oh, here?
and we change that sticker annually.
So at least once a month.
Okay. Somebody hasn't done a good job in this one then. Okay. Because this one's completely blank. Alright. I always like to just kind of glance to make sure that the inspections are current on this thing. Looks like they are. Would you mind starting it? And turn on the lights for us. Anybody hear any air leaks? I don't. Okay. Checking the lights. Just making sure that everything in here is okay.
Why do we have plastic buckets?
What?
We don't want plastic buckets on these things.
No.
We want metal buckets.
With a lid.
Like the
No, but there's a lot of stuff that's left over from water shop, and that's all they're trained to water shop.
So, you guys understand that this needs to have a metal bucket in there with that lid that has that clip on it to hold it shut?
But they also want to have the residue transport side.
Right.
So they need a special bucket for floor dry or something else.
I was with a transport driver like you guys not too long ago. He went to a farm and he used this as a step to get up and do the nozzle. Would that get you in trouble? Yeah. Steve wouldn't be very happy if that happened. Because it's a workers' comp claim waiting to happen. You guys carry a ladder on here? Just for that reason, right? So, this guy was about my height, and he couldn't reach the top. So and I said to the guy, why are you using a bucket when you got the new ladder? He goes, it takes longer to get the ladder off the truck than to take the bucket over there. And I'm like, doesn't make any difference. We don't want to work with comp.
Yeah, it only takes a split second to fall down on your crack.
Alright. Yeah, it's good. I just wanted to test it out a couple of times.
That's fine. I just thought it
Oh, okay. I thought Dave was trying to trick me with something here. Alright, so we look at the lugs, make sure that they're all pointing in the right direction. I know somebody that didn't look last time very well and got in trouble. Alright. Anybody see anything wrong back here?
License plate.
You guys all saw that, right? Yeah. All right. So, again, I just always look behind them, make sure that I don't see anything out of place there. I like to put my head in here and look to make sure that there isn't any animal heads in between here or rocks. I got at one of the places I was at, said that they found a raccoon head in between the tires one time. So we're making sure that the tread on the tires looks like it's okay. We're looking, I always look at the springs to see that they are in place, that there aren't any cracks, and from what I can see that there's nothing wrong there. I like to look in these kind of trailers to make sure that the wiring is all in place where it doesn't rattling around, maybe cause a short. Reflective tape on this one, it's okay, not going to get you into any trouble. Look to make sure that you have the white.
Then it wouldn't get you in trouble because, I mean, it's obviously showing some wear there, right?
Yeah. You know, that's one of those things that would be a call for Dave when he had it in the shop, whether or not he wanted to do it.
And these,
I don't
even require it on a straight truck. You don't require this on a straight truck, like a semi, which is stupid. But this isn't required on this truck.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I'd asked several people about that on a straight truck and never gotten a good answer.
It's not required.
Okay.
The fact that you have it on there,
Yeah.
it would be really worn off.
That's not required to do it.
Okay.
And you have to have greater than 50% of non-continuity cable in order for it to be a problem.
That's what I was asking. Well, when does it become a problem?
50%.
Perfect. Okay.
Is that what it means? 50%?
Again, what I'm looking at, guys, here is to make sure that everything's in place, that it's not rattling around, could cause problems. Okay. Again, as we walk through here, we're looking at the shocks, we're looking at the tires, wear and tear. What is the depth on these back tires that you wear down to?
530 seconds.
530 seconds. What about the front tires?
430 seconds.
Very good. Right answer. Okay, so we're looking for any kind of chips, anything out of the tire itself. Anybody see anything wrong with this?
Yeah, your indicators on your lug nuts are white in other directions.
Okay. So is that a problem?
It is.
Okay. We're looking at mud flaps, making sure that they're good, secure. Just making sure that everything looks like it's secure in here. I don't see anything that looks like it's dripping or leaking. Looking at all the lights. What are we looking at here?
You're making sure your exhaust isn't leaking.
What?
Making sure your exhaust isn't leaking.
Exactly. We're looking for any kind of black streaking where exhaust could be leaking out of it. These are all nice, secure. Everything looks good on the exhaust. I don't know what this unit does. It's what?
It's a hydraulic cooler
Oh,
with a PTO system.
okay. I don't know that I've ever seen one. Okay, again, just taking hold of this, making sure that it's not loose, making sure that the gear is not loose. Again, just looking there anything under here that looks like it's shiny? Again, looking at the brake pads, just make sure they're a good thickness. Looking up here for any kind of leaks that might be in place. Looking at the windshield for chips. Windshield needs to be okay. Can you put this back down for me? Thank you. Windshield wipers look like they're in good shape. There's no bugs on the windshield to indicate that they're not. You can always turn it on the inside. Making sure your placards are still in good shape, not pink. I always like to stand back and look at the lights on the top, see that they're all working. Are clearance lights important? What? Oh, you can shut off the truck, yeah. I'm sorry. So as you walk up to the truck in the morning, you're looking to see if there's any like tools of any kind of fluids underneath it. You're looking at just the overall part of the truck. Are those lights on top working? Clearance lights? I can't tell.
Are they lit?
I can see all 5 of them.
Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure enough. Well, I can see it from the front. From the side.
Okay, so again, we're just looking at these kinds of things to make sure that as we look underneath that there isn't anything that looks out of place. Then, of course, looking to see that your logbook is here, right in place, or your insurance information cards, I'm sorry, all that. You guys all have one of these in your truck, right?
Yeah, should. That's, yeah, I was just to say that's not the most recent one. 220, I think, is the
Yeah.
2020.
2020 is the most recent one, so.
You're supposed to have those.
Yeah.
That's not a DOT thing. I think that would fall under the hazmat compliance stuff.
Right.
So you're telling me I wouldn't get gigged for it myself? I don't think so. And it has to be, I know it has to be within reach. Yep.
Right.
But I don't know that it's a DOT violation.
But the inspectors will ask you for it once in a while.
Yes.
Absolutely will. So, in that particular case, and I think that they gave us, there, I read somewhere that they gave us a little bit of exemption on the age of those during the COVID, because
Well, we weren't getting them either.
people weren't getting them.
Right,
You weren't able to get them.
right.
So, all right, one of the things that we talked about, does anybody have their ELD with them? Dave does.
I was going to say something about this book too, and this is a suggestion that another consultant that we work with made, and he said, if you're carrying the same product on your truck at all times, do this so that it falls open to that page, so you're not fumbling around. It speeds up the process of the inspection.
Makes sense. That's a good best practice.
Well, it sets that tone for the inspector, right? You get in there, and he says, you know, do you have your book? And you can't find it. You finally find it, and then it looks like it's never been opened. And he says, can you find me, you know, this product on there? And you're fumbling through it. It just lets him to go, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm gonna look a little deeper, right? So the more you can just take him and go, here it is, officer. Right? I was gonna ask Money who said, if I said, show me what you would do if I asked the inspector and said, can you give me your insurance card? What are you going to do? Where's your insurance papers for the truck? In the door. Okay, what are you going to do? Show me. Go get it for me. Tell me what you're going to do. See what I like? He's doing it. He's not handing me the book and saying, here, find it. Right? And then now he's letting me, oh, what's this? Why is this expired? Right? He's not letting me do it. He's gonna take me right to where I wanna go. He's gonna show me that paper. He's gonna show me he knows where it is. I'm happy. I'm not digging any further, right? He's fumbling with it, or he lets me go on a fishing expedition. Now there's gonna be deal. So I wanna control that with your attitude and your knowledge. You control that inspection as best you can. Lead him down the path to leave him alone.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I always talk about, and that is, you know, they're judge and jury when you're out on the highway, and you got to just treat them like that. You know, most of the guys that I've come across, super nice guys. You treat them with any kind of attitude, then they change their attitude. So attitude is always the best thing. You know, the one thing that I really wanted you guys to take away from the safer scores is, you know, if you get pulled over for speeding, then that opens up Pandora's box. We really want to limit our speeding. If you don't speed, you don't have to worry about it. It's not like Steve's back here at the place at the terminal saying, "All right, where are you? Why aren't you here?" I mean, there's all kinds of reasons that you can be late. You know, it could be a car wreck, could be slow traffic, weather, all kinds of things. You know, we don't want to beat you up for that. We want you guys to drive safe and not speed. That's really the bottom line here.
Well, that was what, like you just said, you know, we don't want to give them any free looks, right? So if I'm speeding, he's going to pull me over, he's going to look. He pulls up next to me and my fill cover cap is up. He's going to pull me over, take a look. He pulls up next to me and one of the lug indicators is pointing the wrong way. He's going to take a look. This part is so important. You just don't give him that free pass. That reason.
Right. Okay. All right, Dave, what did I miss this time?
Improper placarding. On the other side there is a wrong placard.
Okay.
How do we know that though? I mean,
How would you know?
Yeah.
It's the wrong placard.
Driver.
the driver would.
Yeah. Truck may not, you wouldn't know what's on there, but yeah, the driver.
But it's different than the other three.
Gotcha.
Oh, that was, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Got me. Good.
The triangles are missing,
Oh, well, we didn't even get inside the cab. Okay.
and the vehicle inspection is missing.
The vehicle inspection, not the tank
Not
inspection.
the tank inspection, but the annual vehicle inspection.
Okay.
So we would have to dig into that paperwork.
That's the second page.
But that's the other part, right? Know your paperwork, right? Review it, be familiar with it. It goes back to being able to find it quickly. So,
All right.
questions?
Okay, let's talk about your EDO for just a second. Do you guys know how to take and change it so it just is the last 7 days worth of information on it?
If you go into,
Okay.
if you go into your excuse me, go back. If you go into your hours of service, there's a roadside inspection, and then you create a PIN, and now it'll be ready for the officer to look at it. It'll only give him 7 days worth of your logs,
And why is that important?
because he doesn't need to see more than that.
Right. You guys understand that? We want to limit what they're seeing on the ELD from our perspective. You type in those 4 numbers.
And you choose it.
Right. When you choose it, you just type in 1, 2, 3, 4, hand it to them. They look at it, and then when it comes back in the truck, you go scroll down, hit 1, 2, 3, 4 on the, and it's back to normal.
Back to your home screen then.
Again, it controls that, and it controls what they can see, right? What they're required to see.
Because by law, that's all we have to show them. But if you offer it to them without locking that out, once it's in their hand, they can look at anything they want. Like Chuck mentioned, they might see things that we don't want them to see, or a DVIR that wasn't corrected, or was corrected but the paperwork isn't complete. Those are things that they look for. So if you just give them what's required, that's as far as they can go.
You guys all have the paperwork in your trucks on how to operate it, right? The ELD.
There should be a cat card.
Okay. Because there's a couple of things that are required. The instructions on how to operate it, the instructions for the police officer, and then there's one more. It's another piece of paperwork. Oh, how to operate it, police department, and then it seems like there's one more that is required there. And I know that when ELD started out, a lot of those guys were getting pulled over for not having the instructions.
These may not have ever got installed because these came later. So we may never got a cab card for these.
That's something we need to look at probably. Okay.